We talked about this in the car on the way over, how Coco Melon has tattoos and Daddy has tattoos.
You like Coco Melon's tattoos? I'm not crazy about his.
I'm not either, but...
I'm not crazy about some of mine, but I guess that's how it goes.
Oh, man. If you could tell the youth here one thing that you've learned about the decision-making process that's worked the best for you around... Thank you.
Your mic.
If you could tell the youth, hey, welcome to the podcast, Chris Lindsay, special guest Sky Cashew. We're talking about tattoos. So my question to you, Chris, is if you could tell like an 18-year-old young man out there something that you've learned about what you need to consider in the decision-making of tattoos. Oh,
Good question.
What is that?
Yeah, so I feel like the only thing is that I would say I got two things. Like, if it's real to you, it's real to you. And like, as an art form, one thing you gotta accept with this is that it's timeless in a sense, like a mural. So if you get something when you're 18, when you're I'm 31, it might mean something different.
Is that Yaya?
Hey, yeah.
Come on in, Yaya.
Sky's on a podcast. If you get something when you're 18, what it means over time may change as you change. I'd throw that out there to them, and I'd say, so understand what you think is cool now, you might not think is cool, or what you think is beautiful, you might not know what you think is beautiful, but if you can appreciate it from a perspective of, like, at one time or even still, this means so much to me, then it's an art form that's timeless like that. Well, then the second thing I'd tell them.
What would you tell them?
Every tattoo I got before the age of 22 or 23, I've covered up by now.
That's what I wanted to hear. Okay.
So.
Okay. And then just for more entertainment value for me on this topic, what do you like? Tell me about a place, if you can think of one right now, a place you've made a bad tattoo decision from, like maybe like an intention, or I don't know. I have no tattoos because I'm scared of my decision making.
A bad place? You mean like a bad place that I've gotten a tattoo from?
And maybe this isn't even true. So yes, that, or like, have you gotten any shadowy tattoos in the sense of like, you were like, oh, I'm going to put this on me because people will perceive me this way, or I want to live into this more, so I'm going to start with, I don't know.
Nah, but
brush your hair.
I can imagine that happening for sure, but nah, I haven't done that yet. Okay. I haven't done that yet.
Great.
I'm going to help get the kids.
Brush his hair.
You want to go with Yaya? Let's get you with your Yaya. Hold on, y'all.
Give me a kiss. Wow, okay. All right.
Yeah, so our chapter today is...
I'm almost done with my hair prep.
Cool. The episode will be done by the time you finish. So psychology is the chapter today, and like the psychology of tattoos is like, I can go in there, like, for me, because I I did my best to answer your second question. Yeah. I don't know, but here you go, baby. For me, it's like, am I willing to be responsible? Like responsible with the outcome, and like from a place of like, I'm cool with getting a tattoo of anything if it's like I feel true that this is like some form of art that I think is dope. Like I feel in my body that I have a cool time living with stuff that I got on my body that I was like intimately connected to, like an idea or a symbol or whatever these things are about. And yeah, I think it looks cool too.
Yeah.
Except for the ones that don't look cool. But whatever.
Will you do like to the best of your memory a run through of the chapter psychology?
Yeah, sure.
I'm feeling really present to illusion because I just recorded that meditation for illusion, and I'm feeling not as connected to psychology right now.
Okay. I'll do my best. The chapter of psychology synopsis from my vantage point is we will grow to see, or we are currently growing to see, that our ways of putting together meaning, our ways of putting together our intellectual understanding of life, on this path, we develop a healthy separation from that tool. Right now, for example, what I'm using to generate English language in a form that is coherent and the words that I'm choosing to place, I am coming out of the illusion that my brain, my intellect that is doing this thing I'm doing, I'm coming out of the illusion that that is me. Mm-hmm. I still use that. I still work into that. And I get that there's much more to me than that. This is just like a part of my body. It's a tool. And so then within the chapter, Gary writes about, in one of the previous chapters, he said something along the lines of this too, but like basically our way of understanding psychology or working with psychology will like catch up to how science is trying to operate in the field of psychology now. So he spends some time there, and then also presents some interesting ideas on how souls are great. There are great souls here, and the great soul has it's like a higher opportunity for great impact and higher opportunity for destruction. And spend some time talking about great souls. And so for me, the part that interests me the most about the chapter is like around I don't even know if he wrote this in the book. This might be something from Eknath Iswaran.
Oh yeah.
But I'm getting this from not me. Something is coming to me, and it's like the idea of psychology in a learning about the soul that excites me the most is how through being understanding that we are not our intellect, we are not all of those things I mentioned earlier, we also get the benefit of being able to sharpen our intellect and be more precise and be more clear and think and express ourselves more accurately and see what there is to do with more precision through having that distance from it. So if that entertains you in any bit, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
Yeah. Well, what I just heard when you were sharing that, or what I thought of, was like the physical realm. Well, not being separate from the experience of having a soul and the evolution of a soul. And there's so much about my own spiritual development that is utterly impossible to evolve unless I put the rubber to the road here in the physical realm. And so I could like conceptually want to be more loving, or conceptually want to be more generous, or conceptually want to be more compassionate, but the opportunities of how I use the tools of the human experience either create that practice of love or take me down the path of fear. And those being like intellect, how I speak, just how I am on the physical plane.
What you're saying, how you're putting the mental psychology, how you're grouping it into physicality. This chapter and this reading, the concept in the reading has helped me get that personality and psychology, to me, can belong in that group of physical traits. Like even though I can't see them, it's like they're a human part of this thing, just like my body. And I am not my body. I am not my brain's neural pathways.
Yeah. I don't remember the word right now, but Hinduism has a term that quantifies the illusion of the physical plane. And like very much like Gary, it's like we're here to learn through that illusion. Very much like Gary says. And in that descriptor, that word also encompasses the fluctuations of our mind, the fluctuations of our emotions, our mental body. Like our mental body gets cased in the physical matter. And like getting caught up in this is it, like the physical matter is the start and the end, is one of the hurdles on the spiritual path. It's like you mentioned, using the illusion, and this goes a little bit more into the illusion chapter, but using the illusion as the opportunity to grow is a way different thing than believing the illusion.
Yeah. That's big time, baby. And it's
they call me big time baby.
No, they don't.
Okay.
It takes it's there's something I feel like that's courageous, that is also a spiritual decision to like understand the illusion idea that you just presented, and also choose to fully participate. Because like the awareness that there's illusion to what means what to me. Let me clear that up for everybody. The awareness that if I have the awareness that all the meanings that I'm making from the events in my life, if I become aware that that's an illusion, like I could like be like, all right, I ain't gonna participate. It's all an illusion. Or I could say, right. I think you said, use the illusion as a tool for learning.
I think about like this undefined like caricature of a person I went to high school with. Like we all went to high school with them, who at some point during high school, they're like, but it all means nothing, man.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. It's like, please.
Well, wait, like,
but you want people to agree with you that it means nothing.
And it's like, but so what are we doing then?
Yeah. Yeah, I tried that on. My voice didn't get like that.
Man, don't even worry about it. Yogis, yoginis, studiers of the path that we're in a lot here at Kali Yoga Center. I don't know where the term avidya originally came from, but it's been one that we've had a fun time over our relationship bringing up, Because avidya is the cloud of perception that goes in the physical realm we're talking about, where it's like what I see happening, see being like physically see with my eyes, see and perceive to be happening, what I believe others' intentions are and how I see things playing out. Like avidya refers to when there is a falsehood in front of one's perception, that personality is so convinced is the truth. And that's a I've experienced being there plenty.
So avidya is when the illusion is charged by fear, darkness.
And when the seer believes the illusion is absolutely true and it's not.
Sure, yeah.
And that's like, there's one thing to be like noticing, like, I'm in some shit right now.
Yeah.
But there's another thing to be like, this is what's happening, and I'm drilling down that this is how it's going, and to be wrong. I mean, that's a spiritual battle, whether it lasts for a day, a week, or 2 years.
There's another Sanskrit term that within this discussion about psychology, I know you can have some fun with, so I'm gonna lob it up to you. Samskara.
Samskara. Long convos you and I have had about samskaras.
Yep. And I think we've gotten closer to like aligning on a definition of samskara, but I can't remember if you and I ever came to peace. I think at one point we had a slightly different definition of it. So you want to define samskara first, and then I'll go second, and maybe both of them can be true, or I can be right.
Samskaras. All right, samskaras. You're catching me. I didn't do any samskara studying right before I came here. So.
Okay, I can go first.
Okay, and as a strategic move, I would actually prefer you go first, because then I can.
I know that I was trying that strategy.
Yeah,
because I was like, whatever I have is gonna be way better if she goes first.
Well, and I can pick apart what you share and like level it up. Okay, go on.
There'll be nothing to pick apart. One definition of samskaras are what I liken to neural pathways that fire in our brain, and that create thoughts and beliefs. And the more that we use those neural pathways, those samskaras, the deeper that those grooves get, and the better the brain gets at seeing this car and thinking of a certain thing, coming home and seeing a facial expression on your face and making it mean a certain thing, coming into work and feeling a certain, I don't know, emotion because of the environment that I'm coming into. And so one definition that I take from samskaras is that they are always present, and what they are our quick fire meaning making machine that is our brain's way of helping us make sense of the world. And within the context of what I think I've learned about samskaras, it's that to be aware that they exist also gives us the power to change them. Done.
That was good. It was good. I'm not sure there's anything really boldly highlighted that I'd like to add to that.
You and I have talked within samskaras about like micro, like I don't know. When I see the dishwasher, I always check how much time's left. And then there's like big macro.
Even though you're gonna do what with that information?
Hey, sometimes I help. Sometimes I help. I go through phases.
Yeah, and you do help a lot of other ways. And you're in a phase right now of not helping with the dishwasher. You used to wake up in the morning and do it before you left. So yeah, small samskara.
A big one is I repeat time and time again in my life that the city that I'm living in isn't the right city for me, and if I could only go somewhere else, that'll be the right town.
Mm-hmm. Which is even is a smaller samskara compared to the larger samskara of that, which is I'm not where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
This isn't right.
Yeah.
If things
I love doing these podcasts with you.
Me too. Yeah, as it relates to psychology and the soul's evolution, samskaras are a gift opportunity for us to be able to see what we're doing. And it could take a year, it could take 12, it could take a lifetime. One reason I love asana practice, doing the physical shapes of yoga, and specifically one reason I have gravitated over the years to a like flows that have a similarity to it. We could say a set flow, and there's plenty of set flows and out throughout the yoga practice, is I love that marker of doing the seemingly same thing so that I can watch myself in how I'm being and interacting with that content.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Because that's what I want to get to is.
And with the similar structure, same structure of a set flow, you have the opportunity to observe how you are growing into new possibility and new freedom. Mm-hmm. And I've had in the practicing the same way you have been now for 3 years, I get to see where time and time again in each forward fold, I make an attempt to crack my lower back. And I get to watch myself and I get to see it happening physically. Yeah. And then I can get the lesson of like, well, every time you and I hop on the phone, what am I like looking for or expecting that's also like on repeat? Yeah. And they're great. There's always gonna be stuff on repeat. It's the like get to choose.
Yeah. I love going bowling with you. We do that from time to time. And one of the reasons I love it is because the bowling alley has really bright lights. Then they've got about 17 massive TVs laid out across the lanes. And then they've got music going. And then they've got groups of people who have gathered there who are doing different levels of cheering each other on or not. And then we get these pretty big balls. We get to knock down a lane and we get competition. I mean, there's a lot of stimulus to the thing. And I'm excited about how many people are going to disagree with this. In the realm of being a very physical person, like there's something about a flow being brand new every time I go into practice that I know has the ability to do what the bowling alley does for me, which is entertain me and get me like really more deeply connected to the illusion that like this is the only thing to pay attention to, or even like, I mean, just I can just really be entertained, and that's why like Flywheel used to be this cycle place here in Charlotte and some other places too. I loved the physicality of that because the music was blaring, the lights were off, there was huge mirrors, there was like really vivacious, like fun personalities leading it. And so I would work really hard because I was just so entertained that, I mean, I was just going for it. And people will disagree, and the Ashtangis will agree, and to each his own. And I love doing the same thing over and over again, because at some level I don't love doing the same thing over and over again. And that's where I get to see what some Scaras are not working for me, for my evolution.
Yeah. I mean, like, of course I could go have an experience of doing different flows around the city every single day, and then like have some experience that I value, and then argue the other side just as well. And just like I mean, look, do what you do. Who cares?
Yeah.
If it's helping you grow, do it. And
Yeah.
one thing that's at least worth mentioning in this conversation is that, like, as a human being, a lot of the things we do them every day. So like there is value in a physical practice being the same, because hopefully every day you're going to brush your teeth. Hopefully every day you're going to speak to kind of the same people and go to some of the same places and drive the same car. So there is a lot of sameness in being human. So there is value in seeing the always newness through a same behavior that's available with doing the same yoga flow. So
yeah,
and
and
helped me a lot.
I'm with you too. I could argue the other side. And like we were talking at dinner, we were making a big life decision at dinner 2 days ago, and
That's like every dinner.
I know. I love it.
It's like I really actually don't even know what you're talking about.
We were talking about if we were going to sell the townhouse or not.
Yeah, big life decision.
And I was, at some point in the conversation, I was like, hey, I just gotta, I was like given the sales pitch for sell it instead of hold on to it. And at some point I was just like, hey, I could argue the other way too, but for sake of like fully fleshing out an idea, I'm going to fully commit to this lane of saying why we should sell it.
Just like, Ardrey Kell and South Mech, y'all just really missed out on a legendary debate team member. Somebody should have grabbed this woman in high school, but go ahead, proceed.
Thank you.
Yeah, you would have been amazing at debate team.
Thank you. But I feel like I still get to use it now. Like, well, and thank you. And yeah, so this is kind of coming out of left field, but one reason I really love conversations and I really love doing this podcast with you is because it's an ask of us both, whatever the topic or topics we're talking on are. It's an ask of us to send our intellect down a committed path. And like, that's just, I mean, that's good conversation to me. That's like, I may not stand by everything I say in this podcast for the rest of my life, but I'm willing to risk that when the payoff is learning things about myself through allowing myself to go down an intellectual pathway with another human and stop doing the splintered personality thing where I'm trying to talk from every angle of a subject so that I'm not excluding or people don't disagree with me or whatever. So this is really fun.
Yeah, the podcast in itself is a psychological practice because I might not agree with what I'll say in a year. I might not agree in 2 years. And I am aware that who gets to watch this is out of my control and they get to make whatever judgments and opinions about me. And it's a good practice for me to be aware of how little control I have ultimately of like how I'm perceived, period. And this is a practice ground to like embody and behave into what feels real and true. And
it comes down to intention
and live with it. And I can be responsible for, I'm willing to be responsible for anything I stay on here because I know my intention is to bring what I have to elevate conversation and elevate lives. And that's all I can do. I might in 5 years be like, oh, that's what I said, but
then
that's what I said.
We don't ever have to listen to it again in 5 years. Because we can listen to the one we just made in 5 years. I gave a teacher here feedback. This was years and years ago. This applies to like the psychology of how we are in our brains with our own intellect and the things we choose to say. I gave her the feedback that it sounded to me like she was teaching as a response to the made up critics in her head that were criticizing what she had just said.
Yeah, I have found myself talk like that a lot. And I've heard people talk to me like that a lot. Well, they'll finish a share and then jump on the other side. Not as a way of languaging to elevate the idea, but as a language that like, because I see it in myself, it's like, oh, I just got a hit that here's how somebody would go against this or something.
Yeah, or it's like with the intent to not be judged or self-preservation. I think there's a like pretty, my experience is I feel a pretty strong current right now in our culture of like, you're a better person the more views you can consider at one single moment. And that can wash out the way people allow themselves to talk. Because if I'm going down one view and I'm expressing that from one human to another about that, well, then if my intention is in fear, oh, this listener might be wondering why I didn't acknowledge this as a possibility or that as a possibility. And then I start talking in a way to cover bases, which is a different intention than actually like sharing something from the heart I want to share. It's a fear-based way of speaking that is a concern for looking good, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, I consider it to some degree a virtue to consider however many possible opinions there are. I consider that to be a virtue, and I think that's awesome. However, I think speaking that way, there's a way to speak with zero power and impact if you're not using the consideration of all perspectives to energize your speaking, to still speak clearly, and maybe you can speak to something that encapsulates your awareness of however many different perspectives, but it's not powerful or impactful languaging that raises the value of our time together. If I say, yeah, let's go sit by the window. Oh, I know sometimes you get cold. We shouldn't sit at the window. Oh man, but like if I do tell you where to sit, then like I'm being like assertive, right? And that's what the masculine should. But I'm not that identified with the masculine and feminine thing. You want to choose where to sit? But I know that sometimes that can overwhelm you. So, party of two. Is someone else coming?
I wish we could see that whole thing as a cartoon.
That was pretty dope.
Here's what it is for me in the psychology of speaking and using our intellect to connect with others. It's that whenever I am sharing a thought, an idea, I don't even have to be solidified on like, this is my to the end of my life stance. But whenever my original intention is to share that with another human and to have a conversation about it, and the intellectual plane gets infiltrated with, oh, what are they, the listener, going to think about me? And then I start choosing words that I believe could protect, manipulate, essentially guide how they see me, posture, put on the mask. Like that's when I have now started speaking for a different intention.
Well, the center that's driving my intention went from heart up into the mind. And speaking from heart is an automatic large remedy for speaking clearly.
Yeah.
Because all those games up here go away because, man, I've spent a lot of time communicating from those spaces that you just described of like, what's the thing I need to say to make sure their buttons aren't pressed or pressed this way or be perceived as whatever. And not that that's not a cool skill set to understand that can go on. However, if the driver for what I'm trying to say is not in my heart, then I'm not in my heart. And in our 50 days meeting last week, you did something extremely powerful while we had somebody in the meeting sharing. They finished their share, and then you pointed out to the group. You were like, hey, do y'all feel that? Do y'all feel what's in your heart space now? And I think, like, I don't know, like her language was so clear and so impactful because she was communicating from her heart, and you called that out. And like intention, things work out if you come from the heart, and things are more powerful and more clear and resonant and connected. That's the other thing. Like, what if I'm not in my heart, I can't be connected.
Yeah.
Like on here, you know, you and I talking, we like.
People have said they love to see how we love each other on here.
Well, I love it. I love you.
I love you.
On here with you, I can be connected to, how is that statement? How's what she said going to be taken by people? How's what I said going to be digested? What will they think? You know, like, have we been joking around for too long? Here. Yeah. And like, I'm connected to you. I'm connected to the purpose of what we're doing when I'm here. And then I just say what I'm going to say.
So in the land of samskaras, going back to that is a samskara to be in a pattern of speaking and sending intellect to analyzing and trying to project the opinions, perspectives of others.
Yeah, you're saying
that is
this is a samskara.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000. Great point.
Like, I'll just say this just for its intensity, entertainment. That makes for horrible speakers.
Facts.
Like, I've never seen you can't be a good speaker.
It's boring.
If you're up here in your head.
It's a waste of energy.
It's unconnected.
It's not impactful. It's disconnected.
It's scattered. And one thing I love about our teacher training here at Kali Yoga Center is that we're training so hard on freeing up from that pattern and getting tools to, like, when we see and start to experience, because there's physical cues when I'm not speaking from my heart that I can feel in my body. And we train so much of that. Like, okay, so when you know you've gone into the land of the made up, here's some tools to get back out to speaking from your heart. So, because that's the only place we're going to change lives with our words from.
And like, we are not training here to make human beings more disagreeable for the sake of being disagreeable. We are in a training so that I can talk with you and be connected to you, and you can be connected to me, and the divine can come forth from connection, and that I don't get lost in the land of talking to you with so much consideration in the intellectual critics that I never even get to talk to you. That I'm using you as a sounding board to talk to them up there. And so I actually never get to talk to you. And And so, yeah, I want to be connected.
I think that's it.
See y'all later.